Hi, I'm Marcus Weldon,
Hello, everyone. I'm Phil Reid, and this is
the
the direct
director.
cut. All right,
On,
all right. We try one more time, one more time.
Hi, I'm Marcus Weldon,
Hey, everybody. I'm Phil Reid, and this is
the
the direct
director's
cut on trades.
on trade. Let's go.
All right, we roll with it.
That was solid. This is solid, man. So we got to catch up. What's been going on, man?
As everyone can attest to, life happens. You know what I mean? My my role that I am sitting in has just been it's been ever evolving. I've been having to make some changes in terms of systems that we're trying to use. We're looking for new systems for capital planning and all kind of different things. So, business life, other life, you know how it is. Right now, all my life is working in sports. So,
Hmm.
how's business life going for you, sir?
It's going good. I got a ton of renovation projects going on. Renovating about 4 rooms right now in the yacht club, and I'm doing a lot of electrical upgrades, LED lighting, and it's been busy. So the good thing about it is the bolts are gone, so I got the time to do it.
Yep.
Uh, so now I just kind of I'm more of a project manager right now.
Well, I
So
mean, that's solid. The more project management experience you have, the better you are at it for most people. And you know, then that opens up other opportunities in the future. You know how it goes.
yep,
So
yep.
we spent this happens to be episode 10, which is the final episode of the season. And we've gone throughout this year and talked about many, many, many different trades from truck driving, uh, electrical, plumbing, HVAC, all types of different things. Uh,
Yep.
One thing that's not technically a trade, it's not a trade, but one thing that we did get into is what you and I are kind of currently, trying to hang our hats on and what we currently do, which is facility management and managing the maintenance staffs for our different facilities. So really thought it was be kind of a good idea to kind of give like some of our testimonials of what are some of the things that we do and you know uh what's a good way for people who are trying to cut their teeth in this profession.
You're right, right. Yeah, I call facility managers the building doctors. We it's our job to keep the building healthy, safe, clean, you name it. So a lot of people don't really see us because we're behind the scenes, but we do call the shots in emergencies, and we do have it's a huge overhead when you talk about how much it costs us to keep a building up. Keep a
Mhm.
building, keep a building operating, all that. It costs a lot of money.
Yeah,
So
I often sorry to cut you off there. I often joke around with people and tell them if you're seeing me too often, that means your building's got problems. So normally I try to stay behind the scenes and you may not know who I am. uh
right,
and then right, everybody doesn't like maintenance because we only cost money. We don't generate revenue, right?
we great revenue, and the today's age, with all the Go Green initiatives and energy saving opportunities, that's our way to save money. And I think a lot of facility managers are getting trained on that because if you can go to a CFO and say, "Hey, listen, I can cut your costs of utilities down, you know, 10%." Um, 10% may not sound like a lot, but over a period of time, it's enough to pay a salary.
But what do they want to know? What's that thing that they're going to ask? The first question.
Well, one, how? Or
ROI.
oh yeah, there you go, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Everybody
ROI
wants when they going
return on
when they going to get the return on investment.
because if when that how when they ask you how you do it, it's like, well, how much is it going to cost to get it done? What is the
Mm.
return? So I'm glad you said that. ROI, that's a huge we can actually that's a huge leapfrog into the conversation. Those three letters right there, return on investment.
Yeah.
It's huge because there's a lot of things you can do. And speaking to people who are looking to get into the facility management, it's a lot of ambitious things you can do, but you also, in facility management, have to understand your budget and what you can do and what you can afford, and how long the stuff plays out, and when is it going to pay itself back. So,
And then
I think
be able to. I'm sorry, you got to be able to shoot your shot too. And what I
yeah,
mean is, if you can save some money and you start getting some, you got to start trying to negotiate sometimes and say, if I'm saving you $40,000 a year, I want half that, into my green initiatives budget, so I can start getting more and more of these projects in, so I can save money. So if you can prove that you can save money and you do it, that's how
yeah,
you start getting that more and more buy-in. LED lights. One thing that the U of M is getting into coming up here real heavy is geothermal, which that's for a lot of larger properties, but that's going to be a huge savings on well, fossil fuels, because they're cutting out they're trying to get rid of the steam generations and all that stuff like that. So it's going to save some energy, but it's going to be big towards the carbon footprint. And so that's obviously huge, like you said, with the green initiatives.
yeah, yeah. And so the answer to the original question too is in a sense of how can we get someone's trying to get into this field, kind of what route do they take, and like if I'm green, man, I don't know, I want to be in facility management. I'm actually going to give them my take on it as far as how I did it, because I do it. What makes a great facility manager is someone who's actually been in the field for a certain amount of time. You don't necessarily have to be in the field for 20, 30 years, but a lot of tradesmen who have retired tend to go into facility management. And the good thing about it is you will have the technical part kind of wrapped up, right? You'll know exactly how long, electrician will take to wire, LED lights through a 20,000 square foot property, or you'll know how quick it would take for HVAC technicians to service a air handling unit, because you've done it. And then what you do is you translate that into the management perspective and figure out how can you manage the team, personnel, get stuff done more efficiently, and then you start to learn the ROI portion of it when you're talking in those executive meetings to CFOs, to presidents. How do you present your case to go a direction to potentially save the company money? And that's the learning curve that I think that's when education comes into play. Going to school, taking classes, pursuing your bachelor's, pursuing some type of project management certification.
So let's expand upon that a little bit. You got into facility management through, like you said, coming up within the trades, and then had the opportunity to switch over and, having looked back. It happens to be my background as well. But other ways to do it, as a matter of fact, I just hired someone to be on my staff who is not fresh out of college, but I think 3 or 4 years out of his master's program, and had an extensive amount of project management, but had not been in the field. And so it's still a little bit of a learning curve for him, as he goes through and he's dealing with the trades. He has to learn, when to set up the meetings and stuff like that, because he's operating from a project management only standpoint, as opposed to sometimes having worked in the trades and knowing kind of how things operate. So it is a learning curve that way. Just like you said, people who coming in from the trades have to kind of learn the business side if they haven't had much of that. So it goes both ways.
Yeah, and I think too, you're dealing with the trade. You're dealing with a lot of alpha personalities. So you got to figure, like, you got a guy who's been doing electrical work for 20, 30 years, right? He's an electrician. He's 59 years old. He's going to be retiring within the next 5 to 6 years. He knows the electrician world in and out. And here you are, his boss, telling him what to do, right? The one way to kind of win somebody over like that is if you do have some type of technical knowledge in his field and you understand it. So when he's talking to you, you can speak his language.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that you're going to like be able to have as much experience as he has. I mean, he's been an electrician for 30 years, but you can speak the jargon. It's just like going to another country, right? If you go to another country, you know, the natives respect you more if you know a little bit about the language. You can kind of feel your way in, communicate, and they say, okay, this guy from America, but he's not fluent, but he's got some skills.
Yeah, that's a definite thing. If you have some technical skills where you can understand what's going on, and even if I like I said, I know you come from the HVAC background, but you still had to learn some of those things. But even if you're talking to a plumber,
Right.
and you can relate to what he's saying, that is respected. I think a lot. Uh, I don't know if you're old enough. Sorry, I ain't trying to. I don't know if you're old enough for this, but Chuck Daly, who used to be the coach of the
Oh,
Pistons, way
Haley.
back in the day,
Oh, now.
and Chuck Daly used to say that sometimes being a coach is really just about being a manager of egos. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I think in baseball, Joe Torre said the same thing. And really, you kind of have to, know how to deal with people, each person individually, and then get the team to come together as a whole and operate in the most efficient way you can. So, uh, that's tough to do. That's tough to do, and not everybody succeeds, in terms of getting the team to work well. But if you can do that, then you're a good asset for any company because you're going to get the most efficiency out of your teams. How do you go about getting what you say the most out of your teams? What's some of your good techniques?
Well, one of the things too, man, I go back. It's funny you brought up Chuck Daly because usually we all are familiar with those in the trade. We know shop talk, right? When you hear
Yeah.
shop, exactly what I mean. And one thing about shop talk is you got a bunch of grown men in the room and women. I don't want to exclude women. There are women in the trades that tend to talk about things that are kind of, you know, things that we all can relate to in the shop. And sometimes it's not polished. And one of the things that comes out a lot is sports. Sports is huge in shop talk. So you
Mm-hmm.
brought up Chuck Daly. There's nothing like being able to talk to a guy with shop talk and just nothing that has something that has nothing to do with the current job. Him being able to relate to for your what you like you just brought up the analogy of using Chuck Daly and some of his quotes and what he used as far as managing egos and bringing that up as far as wins and losses. And then you got a guy who's in the shop who's a huge fan of Chuck Daly, huge fan of Bad Boys. Him being able to connect with you on that level of sports, and then you turn and translate it into your working relationship. To me, that's one of the shop talk is one of the best ways to form a relationship with your guys. And what I mean by that as well is, sometimes you got to, communicate at their level. Don't think because you got a suit and tie on now that you got to just be so presidential and so polished. They like to see, you come to their realm.
I think you and I have both seen and know about a few people that have transitions from wrenching to keyboard and so to speak, and kind of let it go to their head a little bit. Uh, I personally try my best to, you know, the way I see it, I think I learned that, I'll give MGM some credit. They had some good programs. MGM always talked about the wheel, and they talked about the hub being the guests, and then they talked about all the different spokes being the different parts of the team. Meaning, it don't matter if you're the VP or if you are the dishwasher, you are a part of that wheel. And if it's something that's off, that wheel is going to wobble and cause issues to the guests. And so that's kind of the analogy that I like to think of. You know what I mean? Yes, I'm in this role, but I can be replaced just like anyone else can be replaced. So we all got work to do. Let's all be respectful to each other. I'm always appreciative to my team, And, to me, that's how I've been successful. But I do always tie in a sports element as well.
Yeah. And that's one example, Another one is I did this is one I actually recently did. So to the electrical point, there was my guys, most of them are like carpenters, painters, and electricity is one of the things they kind of stay away from. So there was a electrical issue that was going on, and they become part changers when it comes down to this electrical issue. They just start changing parts without really troubleshooting. So they were kind of banging their head against the wall trying to figure out which part to change, and I came over there with the fluke meter, and I was like, hold on, wait a minute, and when they see me get the working that meter, they was like, oh man. One of the guys was like, where'd you learn to do that at? I was like, old trick I picked up back in the day.
You said
that
like you seasoned, like you're 63 years old.
Yeah, man.
That's something I picked up.
Your contactor's bad. And it was like, oh, really? I was like, yeah, it's bad. Turned out it was the contactor. So that right there, after I did that, I know you know exactly what I mean. Once you do that one time, you're golden. You just
yeah.
They don't never mess with you no more.
Now I'll say this: part changers can be the most dangerous, people to the department from a budget and inventory standpoint. Because if something goes wrong and we just change the part, see, a lot of times somebody will say, "Okay, this is bad," but so they're taking care of the current problem, but they're not fixing the symptom, what's causing that problem. And if just because if you can't just keep changing fuses now, you know what I'm saying? Because something is causing that fuse to go. But that's when it comes to the education portion of the team. And sometimes you got to bring somebody in to educate. Sometimes you got to get the meter out yourself to educate. Sometimes we need to be educated, all of the above. And we can't feel that we are above that,
Absolutely. And that's the third point I was going to get to. Listening to how you went over your team is listening to them,
Mm-hmm.
So figure, how many times have you seen in a huddle where Phil Jackson, Chuck Daly, whatever coach you want to say has been in the huddle, and he stopped to listen to one of his players speak on, the next possession and what is going on and what they need to do. I've seen Michael Jordan plenty of times tell, Phil Jackson sitting back listening. Michael Jordan is like, hey, and then Phil like, let's go. Now,
run with it, right?
A good coach, So, I'm listening to MJ right now, and it's okay to listen to your guys. You make the final decision, obviously, but it's okay to take information and say, you know what, I like that. I like that idea. Let's roll with it.
All input can be good and used towards making the best decision. Absolutely. So I wholeheartedly agree with you. So moving more into some of the things that you utilize, some of the tools that you utilize from a facility management standpoint, what would you say, what CMMS do you use?
So I got the one I'm using now is called Facility Dude. Is Asset Essentials is actually the name of it. And that is something a lot of buildings are moving towards. A lot of the older buildings, the old days, it used to just be paper, right? You write down what you did, the PM, and PM is a preventive maintenance. So like you figure you go up to a piece of equipment, the different things you're supposed to check off on the list, you write it down on a piece of paper, turn it in at the end of the day. That sounds fine and dandy, but just imagine you're doing that for, 10, 15 years and you got 15, 16 employees, you're going to have a lot of paperwork, a lot of file cabinets. And then stuff gets lost. With a CMS, you can actually have a computerized preventive maintenance kind of system already in place where you can have electronically the paperwork sent to your phone and you can just, go on and check off and plug in and type and take pictures, whatever notes you need, whatever information you want to leave for the next shift, right on the phone. And then it populates into the computer. And now I can actually push a button and run a report to my superior or to the management team in the executive office and say, hey, listen, I can justify the existence of 6 employees. I need 2. Let's say I got 4, but I can justify the fact I need another body or another 2 bodies because here's the amount of work orders we're getting. We're getting this many amount of work orders, and we're not keeping up, or we are keeping up. I can justify maybe the need of, I don't need as much manpower, but it's data that I'm tracking, and I'm able to kind of facilitate and argue my point if I need to for more technicians or more manpower, more tools or whatever. So I use that data all the time, and also if you want to focus on what a piece of equipment you want to replace in the future, reoccurring issues.
Absolutely. And what you just said right there is huge for CMMSs. So that data that you can get from a CMMS is how much time you spent working on a particular piece of equipment if you have it set up properly. And so however many correctives you have on a certain piece of equipment, if you're spending $1,000 once every 4 months on a piece of equipment that only costs $12,000, you might want to start looking at a replacement, because you're spending a lot of time, money, and effort on that piece of equipment, and either A, it's just not a good piece of equipment, it's failing, or B, somebody's just changing parts and not truly diagnosing what's going on with that. So there's a lot of data that you can extrapolate and start making good decisions towards equipment replacements, or getting somebody else to come out and look at it, all kinds of different things. Also, another tool that I'll say this. Let me take a step back. I'm currently using Asset Essentials as well, and we recently started trying to implement the inventory system. And how that works for me is, so my team right now, if we don't have it in stock, our guys will run to the the Grangers, the Fergusons, and wherever else to go get the parts that they need. But that's taking 15, 20, 30 minutes, because of course the drive could be fast depending on how they need it, but it could be leisure depending on the mood, right? Or the traffic. So my goal is to keep my staff in-house, right? I want to keep them here. I want to keep them working, So with a good inventory, that's less runs that they have to make. So we're in the middle of trying to, implement that and then get things going to be a little bit more efficient with it. And then obviously with good inventory, and I'm not in any way, shape, or form saying that I'm having these issues, but there are places that has issues with a good inventory. If you got things walking away from you, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Which is also a good cost savings initiative. So that's for the first reason, and not necessarily the second, is the reason why I want to, been trying to get the inventory implemented and going. But depending on where you are, you might need it for that second reason.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to collaborate with you on that, because that's my next phase for Asset Essentials. I need to do that. So you and I definitely got to talk on that, because that's huge. That's huge. Something
Absolutely.
that gets
absolutely. So got a little bit of time left. So one of the next tools that is super important for almost any facility is a good BAS system, building automated system. No matter which one you use, the BAS helps you to save energy by scheduling your air handlers, scheduling different equipment, obviously telling you if there's a problem, and also helping to keep things automated, but at the right temps and things of that nature. So how has that been helpful to you at Grosse Pointe at the yacht club?
So, I when I first arrived, I was told we didn't have one, and I did some research and found that we did. But the only thing that was tied into it was the boilers. So the small thing that it did help me with so far was I was able to schedule the boilers to turn on and off, and based upon outside air temperature. and scheduling. And the thing about that, before I reestablished the building automation system, the guys were literally turning the boilers on and off by switch. So if you forget to turn them back on, you got a problem. If you get to turn them off, they just keep running. So either overheat the building or you freezing pipes.
So question for you. Did you go by, so say if you figured that out in, let's say, September. So from October on, did you do like the past 2 years comparison to energy consumption?
I did. And so the steam, steam is probably the cheapest out of is to create compared to a lot of the other energy sources. But we did save, there was some electricity. There's no, I don't have any sub metering going on the boiler. It'd be great if I had the board or sub meter and being able to see exactly what I saved on the boilers themselves. But energy consumption did decrease by 2-3%. And it was a couple of other initiatives that was tied into that as well that I think helped. But overall, it helped.
Gotcha. So I mean, but that's also good because when you're able to turn those boilers off, you are extending the lifespan of that equipment as well. So
right.
There's money, there's hidden money that hidden savings that are coming in the long run that not everyone thinks about, because that wasn't the frame of mind in the past when a lot of these buildings were built, right?
Right. And I have the capacity on my building automation system to tie in my air handling unit. So once I get the proper DDC controller, I can install that and then tie them all in together, buy a controller for each unit and tie it into the Jace. So
good deal. And then my next endeavor that I'm looking into is capital planning software. So
okay.
Asset Essentials has a capital planning module, and the cost on it is a decent cost. So it made me, when I talked about it with my supervisor, we both made the decision that we're going to go check and see what's out there in the world and how does it compare and so on and so forth. And so I'm just now really starting that exercise, and I don't really have anything that I could report one way or the other. But the truth of the matter is that the good capital planning software is great, because what it does is it takes the ASHRAE standards in terms of life cycles and lifespan, I should say, and then it teams it up with cost replacements. And so if you have all that information that you can put in that system, you'll be able to, that system will tell you, what, hey, this boiler is over 30 years old. If you don't have any redundancy, that's your most critical asset. So it should be like the first on your capital planning, for replacements, capital improvements plan. And, and then also it does a lot of that work for you in terms of reporting and bars and all that stuff that the supervisors all like to see. So that's my next endeavor, because I want to get to a point where I go to my boss, who will then go to his boss, and I'll leave the names out of it, and then we'll say, you know what, this $6 million that we get every year for deferred maintenance needs to be upped a little bit. We need to start making some important decisions depending on for our facilities. So that's my next endeavor. And when we get together about the inventory, I'll talk to you a little bit about that as well.
That sounds like a day at the cigar bar. We can kick it.
Hey, I'm all for it. We got to kick it anyway. So
yeah, tie all that in.
Right. So last but not least, in terms of getting into this this field, I had one of the guys that we worked with back at MGM. He had been out and about, and he got the opportunity to take on a facility manager's role over for a nonprofit down in Southwest Detroit. And, you know, what he did is, you know, he had taken some classes and all that stuff. And then he gave me a call and said, look, man, you know, I'm trying to get in this field, and I just want to pick your brain. And, you know, he asked me all kind of questions, you know, and I would tell him what my thoughts are. I would tell him what my experiences have been. I would tell him how I've dealt with some of those situations. And what I say is it's good to find uh, someone who can be a mentor. You know, it's good to find someone who can be a mentor to you, someone to build your network with, because while you probably know the person I'm talking about, you didn't know that he had probably gone into that role. But if I needed to, I would connect him with you as well to get some more insight, because, you know, you and I are part of our, you know, our network. And then we have others that are, you know, in our network as well. So I would say networking and finding someone that could be that you would consider successful in their role, and that you feel could be a good mentor to you, to just kind of, you know, bounce some ideas off. And then once you get a certain amount of either education and or experience in the facility manager roles, no matter what that title is. And so I keep saying facility manager, but it could be facility manager, it could be manager maintenance, director maintenance, you know, all of the above. But once you get in those roles, there's also certifications that you can get as well. And APA has one, and then IFMA has one. So there's an APA one for educational facilities, and then there's like IFMA has one. There's all kind of different things that you can do to try and, you know, get these certifications. They help build up your resume. Ferris State has a program for facility managers, you know, so you can go right there and you'll get a lot of the things that we're talking about now. They actually teach as a curriculum. So there's different things out there.
Yeah, that's a relative degree too. They've been pushing the facility management degree. When I say new, I'm talking, you know, past 25 years or so.
Right. But not a lot of people know about it. More and more people are taking it nowadays, and so that gives people a little bit more of a heads up and a leg up, so to speak, than someone who's just coming out of college and, you know, not having any, you know, any classes in this realm. So you know, that's good. I think also Washington Community College. I was taking a look at it something because my son goes there, and community colleges, they have classes on construction management. Construction management degrees are also helpful in my mind towards this stuff, because for project management and things of that nature. So there's a lot of different avenues that we can use, or that you can use to kind of break your way into this field. So just wanted to make sure we talked about that. So Mr. Weldon, with this being the last episode of this particular season here, is there any parting words that you want to leave our listeners with?
Just build your network, man. If you really want to get in this field, part of building your network as well is having good contractors, you know, knowing good people that can help you. You know, our entire podcast has been about the trade, and if you listen to the episode, there's a common theme, and the common theme is that we need people in the trade. You know, and so with that being said, contractors are struggling to find good people, which means that most of the contractors out here aren't that great, because they have a lot of you know, new green technicians, but you have some out here that have really, really, really good technicians. And one of the key roles of being a facility manager is having the right person to call. So you want to kind of vet these contractors out. You want to have good ones. If you know a good one, you keep their number on speed dial. That could be a very, very good help at hand when you get in a tight spot. So most of the kudos that you're going to get is having the right person to call in that crucial time.
Absolutely. I think since you went that route with building the network, I'm going to go the route of apprenticeships. There are so many companies out there, and I don't want to, you know, I'm not trying to downgrade any of these schools and stuff like that, where you have to go pay to learn. The apprenticeships are paying you to learn. You go in, and you are getting paid to go out here and learn. Don't make the mistake of building up $25,000, $30,000 in student loans when you can you can build up $45,000, $50,000 in salary while learning your trade. So go whatever route makes you feel most comfortable, you know what I mean? But don't forget about the trades. Don't forget about the apprenticeship programs, because you can be out here making money while earning. You know, I know that well, when I was 18, I was playing football in college. But afterwards, you know, I went the route that I did. But if I could go back and go straight to an apprenticeship program, I very much so probably would have done that. So that's really what I want to just make sure that I impress upon you all. So it's been a fun season. There's still much to talk about. We'll see how life goes, because life happens. To see when we can get back together and finish this, keep these conversations going and get more guests, you know, on to talk to you all. So I guess those are my parting words. So any last things, or are we good to go?
I'm good, man. I appreciate everybody who's all our listeners, and stay tuned for another exciting show.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and speak for Marcus Weldon, and I'm Phil Reid, and this has been the Director's Cut on Trades. Thank you for listening.
Peace.